Welcome to Obi-Wan Studios, and for today's LEGO Star Wars set review, I have the 75015 Corporate Alliance Tank Droid. This set released in the summer of 2013 for $20, and it retired at the end of 2014. Today, if you want one of them sealed in the box like my example, you can expect to pay about $160 based on sales data from Brick Economy. The set contains 271 pieces and comes with 3 total minifigures, being Jango Fett, a Phase 1 Clone Trooper, and a Geonosis Battle Droid, so we get a pretty decent selection based on Attack of the Clones. However, the one really interesting thing about this set is that if you remember the movie and the Battle of Geonosis, you don't actually see a Corporate Alliance Tank Droid anywhere throughout the film. Now, the prevailing theory with this set, at least, is that it is based on one of the deleted scenes from the movie, which is an extended version of the Battle of Geonosis, and part of that deleted scene features a Corporate Alliance Tank Droid. There might have been some additional concept art that LEGO had access to as well from Lucasfilm, but a pretty interesting choice nonetheless for an Episode 2 set featuring something that wasn't actually in the movie, but I'm still excited to get, at least for me, my very first Corporate Alliance Tank Droid in my collection. I haven't owned any of the other sets that have had one, so this is going to be a pretty cool experience for me. The box art shows that Corporate Alliance Tank Droid on the Battle of Geonosis, which I'm not totally used to seeing just yet, and that 2013 box art branding in general with Yoda and the green color scheme always looks so fantastic to me. The back of the box shows more angles of the build and the minifigs, as well as the set's play features, but this one is going to be really exciting to unseal and review for you guys. Unsealing the set, we have the instructions manual, 2 loose dish pieces, and then 2 numbered bags. I'm going to go now and build the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid, and I'll check back in with you guys once it's all complete. Alright, with the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid all built, let's go over the minifigs first, starting off with Jango Fett, and it's pretty hard to believe that this is the second Jango Fett minifig ever. There was an 11-year difference between the original version from 2002 and then this one. And overall, it's a pretty great looking version of Jango Fett. I think the helmet looks fantastic. Same for the jetpack piece. The one thing I just don't totally love about it is the face printing for this version of Jango. It doesn't really look like Jango Fett to me, and the same could be said for the Phase 1 Clone Trooper's face that we have as well. Doesn't totally represent a Clone Trooper, at least what I think of, and even the skin tone just doesn't totally line up with what Jango looks like and for a clone of him. So not my favorite part about this version of Jango, but it doesn't come with the hairpiece, so you really wouldn't ever have the face showing anyway, so it doesn't totally matter because all you get is the helmet. The printing for Jango's armor looks great though on the front of the torso, the waist, and the legs, and then underneath the jetpack there is a good looking back print too. So a pretty solid version of Jango, especially considering it's the second one ever. And then we have our Phase 1 Clone Trooper, and it's just a really good looking Phase 1 Clone Trooper. There's not that much to say about this minifig. The printing on the helmet looks fantastic, same for the torso and the back print. The face print, which I already mentioned underneath, isn't my favorite, but it's not something you're going to really see that often. The armor printing just looks fantastic, and it's nice just to get at least one Phase 1 Clone Trooper in this set. And lastly, we have our Geonosis variant of the B1 Battle Droid, and the color scheme that LEGO chose for this one here, I'm not sure if it's the most accurate compared to what you see in Attack of the Clones, but I just think it looks really cool nonetheless. Otherwise, just a standard B1 Battle Droid with a 2x1 piece on the back for his backpack. The characters out of this set I think work really great. As for the weaponry, you have the dual blasters for Jango Fett. There is a larger blaster rifle for the Clone Trooper, and I've just never personally been a fan of the extended kind of rifle versions that you make with like a Technic piece on the end or something. I just think they look comically large, so not my favorite piece, but for display, it's not going to matter for me, at least personally. And then a smaller rifle as well for the B1 Battle Droid. So that's the weaponry that you get, and a pretty solid minifig selection overall. And then we have our Corporate Alliance Tank Droid, and it's just such a cool looking droid vehicle, whatever you want to call it, and I honestly can't believe this is the first one I'm adding to my collection, so it's a pretty cool moment for me and the channel as well. Now, while in general I think the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid is just a cool concept of a droid, this build, to me at least, looks a bit plain when you can see just the color scheme is done pretty nicely in terms of the light gray, the darker gray, and then the black as well. but in terms of extra detail, there is nothing in terms of prints or stickers on these larger dish pieces on the side or at the back, or even on these kind of front sections here, maybe repulsors in universe. It's just all brick built in, which looks fine, but there's no additional details, even just like wear marks or something to make it look a little bit more mechanical. For me, I just wish there was a little bit more for the droid in terms of those details. Now, one other area that I don't think looks the best for the build is actually in between the tread. If I angle the build more so that it's a little bit dead on, you'll actually be able to see some red, yellow, and even blue brick colors inside of the build. And if LEGO had gone with just making all of those pieces in black and gray, it would be nowhere near as noticeable as it is. However, at different angles of the build, you can really see all of that color shining through. Even when you look just directly down on the build, you see that yellow, red, and blue, all those different pieces. So while the colors make the build process a little bit easier, it definitely does not look that great when you actually have the build all completed, because it is very noticeable. Near the back of the build, we do have some detail with these almost like strut pieces that angle towards the back gear section for the tread. That at least adds some built-in detail, but otherwise, like I've mentioned, the droid, to me at least, does look a little bit on the plainer side. On the top, we have the primary sensors or eyes, and they look really great, especially the use of the droid arms to get the curvature up towards the middle of the build. And you can have some rotation in there. You can pose them a little bit differently if you want, but I think just the standard way is the best way to go for the sensors for the droid, but there is some play and movement there that you do have if you choose. In terms of weaponry, we have the twin laser cannons on either side, which look great. And of course, for the time, it would make sense that there would be some flick fire missiles. You have the top one that's loaded up here and works as intended, obviously, but not the best for display and just the overall elegance of what the build looks like. You do get an extra set of flickfire missiles for each side, which, as you guys can see, can be a little difficult to actually take off. You gotta pull the missile actually out from where it's stored, and that to me looks really odd, stored actually backwards on the backside of the laser cannons, but you get an extra one which you can load back in and then shoot off again and actually hit Jango Fett on the edge of my table there. So definitely a good play feature, but something that does not look that nice on display. Even just this way here, you guys can see with both flickfire missiles removed on this one side versus turning the build to the other side. It's just such a cleaner look not having those flickfire missiles on the build, but hey, a good play feature. But what is easily the best play feature of the build is the fact that the tread does move when you slide the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid around. Now you guys will notice that I have placed a blanket just on my table because a surface like my wooden table that I use for my LEGO Star Wars reviews just doesn't have enough grip for the treads to actually catch the way the gear system works. So just to simulate some carpet, you guys can see how the function works really well on something like a carpet or a blanket in this case. It's just a great play feature that's unique to these Corporate Alliance Tank Droids. This set to me is maybe a little bit of an underappreciated set because it contains the second Jango Fett minifig ever, and really the very first modern version of Jango Fett to be included in any LEGO Star Wars set. And the fact too that it's from kind of the waning years of what a lot of us consider to be the golden years of LEGO Star Wars. 2013, you know, things were kind of slowing down a little bit at this point, but getting a Corporate Alliance Tank Droid based off of like a deleted scene is a pretty cool moment as well in LEGO Star Wars' history. So this set to me is one that I just genuinely really like overall and think it's just unique, from the entire box art scene to the minifigs and characters you get out of the set and the build. It's just one of those ones that I am very happy to finally own as part of my LEGO Star Wars collection. So for the Obi-Wan Studios set rating, this one is getting an 8.8 out of 10. I think it's a really great set. The build is fantastic. Just for me, it's maybe lacking a little bit of detail in some printed pieces or even stickers, just something to make it not look quite as plain. And then the minifigs are really great as well. I needed to get this Jango Fett as part of my collection to make the Jango Fett minifig comparison video that's going to be coming on the channel soon. So if you want to see that video when it comes out, make sure sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and it's also just the best way to support the videos that I make. If you did enjoy the video as well, leave a like on it, and as always, you guys, let me know what you think of this set and the review in the comments down below. Thank you guys again so much for watching my review on the 75015 Corporate Alliance Tank Droid. My name is Justin, and I'll see you on the next LEGO Star Wars set review on Obi-Wan Studios.